I remember when puberty hit and I went from a child to a teenager. I have videos of me in full-on puberty. Hey there, how's it going? It's MiffedLuke here, my name is Luke, and today we are going to be talking about change. Change is a part of life. Nothing stays the same forever. I know, I don't like it, but I get it. When things change, something that you are used to is no longer there. You lose the sense of security. There are forced changes and unforced changes. A forced change for me was the biological one. Puberty. That was such a painful change. I wish I never had it. I actually remember when my hormones changed and suddenly my life stopped being like a child. Like, I remember one day I woke up on holiday and things just seemed completely different. I didn't feel like myself. I saw a psychologist at school about it and she was really interested for my need to build a time machine and go back in time to when I was a child. When everything was safe, when everything was easy, when everything was happy. I even wanted to grow up to become a scientist so I could build that time machine. I never got along well with my science classes, but I wanted to build a time machine. Mum gets upset by the story. So if you're watching this, Mum, you might want to cover your ears. I developed a nostalgia obsession since then. Is that what turned me into a hoarder? Whenever my parents chuck things out, I like to record it first as a method of letting go. I still grieve for that change. I looked it up once and quite a lot of people seem to grieve for the loss of their childhood or their past. Talking of childhood, another forced change was when I had to leave my normal school because I needed a lot more support than they could give me. So I had to change schools and I went to a specialist school for autistic learners. I had to leave all of my friends behind, including my girlfriend. That's right, I've had a girlfriend when I was 9 years old. I've never had one since. It was the right thing to do, it worked out well in the end, but it took a lot of adjustment. It was hard, I was crying, I think even my mum was crying. Fast forward 10 years, and it was time for me to decide to make a change. At the age of 20, I decided it was time to move out of the room next to my parents' kitchen into my actual bedroom. To explain, I spent the last decade in that room playing, gaming, and running my YouTube channel. I only use my bedroom for sleep and storage. The more I pictured the new room, the more excited I got. If you ever go to any of my game recordings on my gaming channel, MiffedLuke Gaming, you may notice that there is lots of cooking, dishwashing, and conversations going on in the background. There's no good coaches around. To make this happen, I had to move all of my YouTube work, video games, gaming consoles for those video games, merchandise, plushies, the whole lot. That room represented a whole decade of my life. Seeing this as moving forward was not really on my mind. Instead, even before the move, I was grieving what I was leaving behind. The move. Now, I originally thought that it was going to take 1 day to move. Then I realised it was going to take 2 days. And then 3 days. Then we had the electricians over. Man, did they laugh at my setup. And my parents kept tidying, moving things around, finding new stuff for me to have the best room. I think they were more excited than I was about moving out. I think we can all work out that dealing with change has been hard for me. So I did a bit of research about this, including for those on the autistic spectrum. One of the good things that helped me make the transition is that I finally feel like a proper YouTuber. Well, spoiler alert, I ended up staying in my room in the end, my bedroom. YouTuber setups always look so cool, but I was always stuck next to the kitchen.
Mama.
No,
Mama.
Whoa! Okay, I accidentally knocked the wall down, great, but it shouldn't matter though, it shouldn't matter. With my new setup, I have a desk for animating, a desk for vlogging, a desk for gaming. It's a lot more organised. With all my games in one place and the internet actually working, there's a lot in it for me. I can finally do live streams again without having to worry about the internet cutting out. Let's check my internet speed here. The stream itself seems to have stopped for some reason here. And you know, all these things are nice, but also, it's my space. I got my merch, got my posters everywhere. It was very lucky that I wasn't forced into this change, as I don't think I would have been ready for it 6 months before that. My heart goes out to all of those who are forced into major changes in their life. So I'm just so fortunate and grateful that I have parents that are understanding and caring and don't try and force things upon me in a negative way. Be wise, be kind. It applies to parents as well. Now, when my parents first suggested moving rooms, my initial intentions was to just say no and let it fade away. But the more we spoke about it, the more I thought about it, and the more excited I got as well, because I was thinking that I could potentially like add and swap posters and have a lot more organisation, customization of how the room looks, all that type of stuff really. So I became a lot more excited. Not that I ended up adding and swapping new posters regularly in the end here. They're hard to do, and honestly I like the way it looks anyways. Before the move, I talked about it a lot, for a long time. I knew I would feel the sadness and loss. I didn't know if I would be able to do it actually, and so it was a 2-week trial. I had to have a plan B in case it didn't work out, and that actually broke me out of my worries because I knew it didn't have to be forever. I had a big drop in enthusiasm after the first night and was cross that I ever looked forward to this change. I would say that I tried to keep going with my normal routine, but I ended up gaming a lot instead. I understand that a lot of self-care is an important part of making this change happen. Now in life generally, I can get stuck in a negative or anxious story about just about anything. I've had counselling for it at school and college, and I knew that I had to do my best to see the positives. I didn't want to get stuck in a I'm missing the past and grieving story. So I took moments here and there when I look around my room while I was working, doing my normal routine, and I actually found the positives, thinking to myself, this is pretty good. It could just be the passing of time, but I definitely found things easier when I was back in my normal working routine. I guess because that way I could get more of a realistic feel on how things would be going more long term. Slowly, one night at a time, I got happier in my new room. My friends were all in their own rooms, in their homes, which I could see on video chats, and it was nice to feel that I was in my room, in my home as well. I felt sort of excitement for future Luke, being more grown up and wanted to feel hope rather than just keep on looking back at the past. I am now setting up my routines and goals to achieve in my new environments. I'd really like one of those mini fridges in my room. My dad has one in his shed and I would like one too. So this change worked. My brain was creating new happy memories and updating itself within the present. I learned a long time ago about acting as if. I focused as much as possible on the story of how it was going to be once I moved on. Wow, going through those recordings of me in puberty, I felt so much positive energy. It makes me both happy and sad because I know that I'm not a child anymore and I don't have as much positivity as I did when I was a child. And also as a quick follow-up from the last video, the great AG who was in that video, he didn't only see the video, but he really enjoyed it and was like, can I have the great AG on my CV? Of course you can have the great AG on your CV, you deserve it, mate. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'm sure you are anyways, but just in case, be wise, be kind, be respectful, but be respected. Goodbye.